Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the 1 Point Safety Show with myself, Scott Hartley, and my glorious co-host, Scouse Andy. How are you, Scouse? You all right, buddy?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. Yeah, I'm all good. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. Another week's nearly over. It's another week closer to going to the States. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, mate. I can't wait now. I was having a flap last week, as I told you. It was like, I had this real weird panic on that I hadn't booked something or something was missing. And you know when you have that pre-jitters like thing where you're like, oh, hang on a minute, have I got this booked? Is everything done? And yeah, we're all good. We're all good. So
To be fair,
yeah,
I think that would be normally I think like the night before going away.
yeah, I'm doing it a
Not like
month
4 weeks
before.
away, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, I just panicked. So yeah, all good, all good. But yeah, thanks for Mike Allen for joining us. Jesse in the chat, Rob Morrison in the chat. So we appreciate you being on here.
Oh, Mike, didn't know you.
Brian is
Canada,
in as well. Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. Yeah.
it's Canada,
So
Mike.
I know. Yeah. All good. So nice to see everybody in. We appreciate you being on here again. Scouse last week highest ever listens on the downloads for the pod. So can't thank everybody enough for joining us live, listening to us, subscribing. I mean, it costs nothing, so please go across to YouTube and subscribe. We're on the road to 100 subs. It's really not that difficult. Get your gran, your dog,
It's for us, mate.
anyone
It's
to set an
difficult for us
account.
to get 100 subs.
Hey, I know, mate. Get anyone to get an account and set it up. If your dad hasn't got an account, if your mum hasn't got an account, get them set up and have an account and get them to subscribe. But yeah, man, begging for likes, literally begging. But there you go. We're sponsored, obviously, as always. We are a sponsor of Dunstable Town FC's Talk of the Town podcast. 4 defeats on the spin, I think, for Dunstable this year. So not a great start for them. Go across and listen. Go across and listen to their pod over there with Andy Burrows, who is a Washington Commanders fan.
Part of the coaching team as well, isn't he, at the moment?
I think he is. Yeah, I think he is. He's genuinely on their coaching setup.
So, coach
fair
him.
play to him.
4 games in a row.
It's all good. It's all good. It'll work. They'll turn the corner. Also sponsored this podcast by Oddballs. So go across to myoddballs.com. Go and buy yourself a Washington Commanders pair of pants, or 1 Point Safety Show pair of pants, or a hat. Go across and have a look at them. They've got our gear on there. They've got other gear on there as well, and all the proceeds go to Men's Cancer Charity. So go and give them a look. Well, mate, we'll start off with the news as we always do. Roster moves. Quarterback Trace McSorley, Ashburn's own Trace McSorley. Ashburn native, he's a 6th rounder in 2019, signed by the Raiders. Obviously born in Ashburn, he's played for Baltimore Ravens from 2019 to 2021. He's played for the Cardinals, he's played for the Patriots, he's played for the Bears, that's both on practice squads, and he was also on the Steelers practice squad in 2023. Not a brilliant record, be honest with you. He's only played in 9 games and he started only 1. 7 of them came in Arizona, and he last played a competitive game in 2022. His record is 1 touchdown to 5 interceptions and 502 yards. Now, this obviously is coming off, which we'll get into a little bit later, but this is the injuries are starting to pile up a little bit. Obviously, Sam Hartman got an injury to his shoulder, and Marcus Mariota has got an injury to his groin. So what are your thoughts on this one, Scouse? Just a camp body, or what do you think?
Yeah, he is. He's a camp body. He's going to be. He probably will play some part in the game against Miami this weekend. He's well known to Cliff. You mentioned Arizona, and that's exactly. And he knows his system, and that's basically the reason why they've hired him more than say somebody else who's coming in for a few games or a few weeks or whatever. Yeah, I say no more than that, really. I can't see this guy sticking it out longer term.
Yeah, I agree. And the subsequent move to put him to the active roster is that we've released guard Mason Brooks. So ex-Ole Miss guard, he has disappeared off there. So yeah, good luck to Mason Brooks wherever he lands or wherever he ends up. He didn't, obviously flashed a little bit, but played in a few games, but didn't do a great amount. Mainly a practice squad kind of guy.
He wasn't very good, to be fair, in the game last weekend.
Yeah.
I felt a bit sorry for him as well because he played a lot of tackle. He's not really a tackle either, so.
I think it was the best.
He got punished.
Of what we could,
but, got punished and then struggled. Is what it is. He's not one of them guys I'm going to miss, put it that way.
Yeah, another one then that we've got as roster moves is we signed wide receiver Martavius Bryant, who was a fourth rounder 10 years ago in the 2014 draft to the Steelers. He's 6'4", 211 pounds. He's 32. He has played obviously for the Pittsburgh Steelers from 2014 to 2017, the Raiders in 2018, the Toronto Argonauts in 2021, the Massachusetts Pirates also in 2021, the Edmonton Elks, the FCF Beasts, never heard of them, Vegas Vipers, and then he was on the Dallas Cowboys practice squad last year. Obviously, looking at his stats, he's got 145 receptions, 2,183 yards, 94 rushing yards, 151 return yards, and 18 touchdowns. Now, John Tayman from the Bleeding Burgundy podcast, he put us a question on this and said, what are the benefits of signing Martavius Bryant? Does he have the legs still? Is it just a speed, or is it just purely on his size as a wide receiver? What are your thoughts on that one, Scouse?
Well, as he gets older, you're going to lose some speed. It's just a fact. I mean, it's only very, very rare that you can keep your speed from when you were 21 to now 31. It's very difficult. And especially with this guy being in and out the league a long time as well. You mentioned there, I think it was like 3 years where he didn't play any ball.
Yeah, he was banned, wasn't he? So
he was banned for a while, yeah. I don't know if it was 3 years fully banned, but yeah, or maybe just no one touched him because of that. So you expect him to lose a bit of speed. But then I've heard that he's also lost like 20 pounds in weight from when he tried out for us right at the start, didn't he, of this off season?
Yeah.
And he said no, lose some weight, and then he's come back in at 211. He was 230, I think, when he came in originally. So he's lost a lot of weight. So maybe that might give him a little bit more speed, a little bit more separation. Maybe might be the difference that he needs to get on this roster. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sure questions have been flying in about it, but the wide receiver room now is all up in the air besides Terry. Yeah. I mean, everybody's up from what Dan Quinn said. So, these things are, everybody's fair game at this moment.
Exactly that, and I think he offers us something we don't really have. We've got one wide receiver that's quite tall in Bryson Tremaine, who's currently
might be a good mentor actually. Might be a good mentor for Tremaine. He's a youngster.
Other than that, he's the only one who gives us that bit of height that we've kind of almost been missing as a red zone target. If he can still run routes and he can do the job, then yeah, he's got a shot like any other receiver. But it's a bit more difficult if you're coming in late and if you haven't played in the league for a number of years. It's going to be quite tough for you to make the active roster. But there must be something about them that they see, because obviously he's worked with Quinn and Joe Witt before being at Dallas. So for me, I'm not panicking. It's a signing. This happens all the time. People need to stop, looking at Twitter and going, oh my God, why haven't we signed Ayuk? Why haven't we done this? We said this many, many a time, and we went into this offseason saying Rome wasn't built in a day. You have to be patient with this. It is a gradual build to get better. And this is the problem. You see, everyone wants it now. And unfortunately, we're not in a position to do that now.
I mean, on the flip side, though, I mean, you're talking about patience, and I want to be patient as well. But don't forget, though, a lot of these guys are win now players. The Wagners, these guys, 1 year deals to prove that he can still hang, and two, it's kind of like, well, we don't want to be the whipping boys this year. Do you know what I mean? By just having all rookies or having no talent at all. So this is why we're getting a bit of a mixed picture sometimes from what they're showing us. Because yes, they are trying to build for the future. You can see what the plan is in the drafts. You can see it, but then you're thinking, well, okay, but now you're supplementing that with some real nice, proven talent, which is a good thing. But then you're thinking, well, what are we doing? Are we going to be a mid team? Are we actually really trying to be under the radar, hit the playoffs, or are we going to be a team that's going to be dog shit again? You see what I mean? So it's difficult, man. And obviously everyone wants to win now. Everyone wants to win now. But we just I think it's like a realistic type of patience as well, because I don't think Dan Quinn's coming here to go, I want to be another 4-13 team. I don't want that at all. My first year back in the hot seat. So I'm just thinking, like, it's got to be more than just patience. You got to wait 2 years. I want to see something now. Hopefully, there's some progression, but again, we'll see. I say it's got to be realistic, man.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, we'll get on to that. Rod's put something in the chat. If we'll star that, and we'll come back to it because there's been plenty of questions on this, and we'll go through them in a second. Subsequent move then to add Martavius Bryant to the roster was that we released kicker Ramiz Ahmed. Obviously, Chris Blewett's black backup, as we discussed on here. He did not have a great game against Miami. Poor practices as well. But from what I've heard, Riley Patterson's been slamming it against the woodwork as well for most of the week. So the kicking situation is a worry. And again, I've got a question on this. So.
It really is dire. The funny thing is that they kept Riley Patterson, and he missed his field goal.
He did, I know.
Where Aziz, or whatever his name is, I call him Aziz. I can never remember his name properly.
It's Ramiz Ahmed. Yeah.
Ramiz, yeah. He actually put us through the posts. So, I mean, in the game, that is. So it's kind of like, well, yeah. Obviously, it's like picking what you want, fucking white shit or brown shit, isn't it, really? That's what...
Exactly.
No, I don't mean kind of color or anything like that. I just mean in general, two different types of shit. Which one are you going to pick back? Which one do you want? You know what I mean? It's just
there's not a lot to choose from, but this kicker is definitely not on this roster, so it's one of them. We've got to go for a bit of an injury update then as well. So Jordan McGee, he's got a knee injury. Obviously, day-to-day on that is what we've been told. Sam Hartman came out of the game against Miami, which we'll go through in a minute, with a shoulder injury, ice pack on, and we've been told again in Dan Quinn's press conference today that he won't participate at all this week. So that's a bit of a shame for Sam Hartman. Marcus Mariota, as we talked about, he's dealing with a groin issue. Jason Newton has got a leg issue, and it's foot-related, is what we've been told. So back to that foot again. I don't know if they're just taking their time with him or if it's something new. We're not sure on that one. Brandon Coleman was a pec and a shoulder injury, but he was padded and did participate in training so far as I've seen, but I haven't actually seen him mentioned by any of the local beat reporters. So that'll be interesting to see whether he suits up and plays on Saturday night. And then Wiley also been suffering from tightness again. So it's, we haven't got the injury bug. But today, Bo Bauer went down with an injury. It looks like a pretty serious knee injury. Undrafted free agent undrafted linebacker. He's been with us a couple of years, I think, on the practice squad. He went down in training. The cart had to come out to take him off, and he's being looked after by the Miami medics at the minute. So, yeah, not good. Thank you, Jesse. Jesse says Coleman did not participate today. So, again...
I can't see Coleman playing any of the preseason, to be honest. I mean, if you got that shoulder/pec injury, the last thing you want is to re-injure that or make that worse before potentially starting week 1, because he might potentially be the starter. So yeah, I can't see this guy playing any of these games, these preseasons.
Yeah, we'll move on to the next big bit of news, I suppose, is Jahan Dotson and where we feel with Jahan Dotson. Will Scouse suffer the same fate as RG me and get the track from Scotty? Yeah. No, Scott.
You're gonna fire me.
It's his show. It's his show.
It is my show. Don't you forget it, Scotty.
I'm just a guest. But no,
don't you forget it, Scotty.
Exactly. He just screamed fix in a minute anyway, Scouse. So yeah. No
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And shout out to our winners of our gear as well, who have received their hat and hoodie. So well done, Tim Towner, who won the hoodie, and Commander Viscount, who also got his hat. So well done again to them. Jahan Dotson, we're going to get into it. B-Mitch obviously made some comments about entitlement and having the wrong attitude. Didn't actually refer to Jahan Dotson in person. However, I have seen since that he's put a couple of tweets out when people have mentioned Dotson, and he's kind of responded to them and said, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I've never seen Jahan Dotson come across as entitled or having the wrong attitude, but obviously we don't see him every day. Jesse said it in our WhatsApp chat as well, and so did Tony Wheat, I think, saying, look, he always comes across as intelligent. Yeah, I'm the same. I always comes across as, a bit of a team player and no issues from that standpoint. But we have to ask questions again. I mean, Scott G put a question into us. He's in the chat with us. He actually put a question into us saying, thoughts on the Dotson turn. Does the trade look as great now since Howell is gone and Olave is performing?
Well, yeah. I mean, hindsight's always 2020.
But were we going to take Olave? We don't know whether we were or we weren't.
I think. Oh, obviously, he was the best receiver on the board at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And we all thought if we weren't going to go and trade down, we would probably pick Olave. So that's probably the reason why the Olave comparison's still there. But it's kind of, yeah. I mean, of course, I say hindsight's 2020. Right in this second, yeah, Howell bust. The Dotson was good in his rookie season. Last year was shocking. This year got a bad attitude. So, yeah, it doesn't look good at the moment for Jahan. I'm hoping that he's just going to get his head in the game and keep fighting for a spot. But yeah, man, I thought he was a lock, and
I did too.
Now I'm thinking he's going to get. I'm thinking he's going to get traded,
possibly.
I think he'd go past the Ayuk trade. I genuinely believe we're going to go for Ayuk again. Back to the Ayuk spiel.
I mean, that's the rumor, isn't it? That we're going to give Jahan to San Francisco plus a second and sign Ayuk. That's the rumor that's doing the rounds.
Man. I mean, that's overpaying, man, for a guy who's in his last year. You got to pay him 28, 30 mil. You know what I mean?
I know, but that's duty rumor. But whether that's a thing or not, and I don't know. I mean, let's get into it a bit more. Hog on the Mountain, who is at Hog on the Mountain on X, he said Dotson got a ton of snaps in the game where the starters probably should have only got a handful. You boys think there's any chance that they're just allowing him to put some fresh tape out there before a potential trade? Well, we've just talked about that, so
yeah. I am on that thought, definitely. I think you asked me a couple of weeks ago, are we thinking, no way, Jahan's on the list for cut or trade or anything? No, he's definitely wide receiver too. That's the thing. If you asked me that 2 weeks ago, I'd say the same thing. But now, I say everything's up in the air. It really is. The wide receiver room now is wide open, besides Terry being wide receiver one. Everything else is only on the board.
Jesse's in the chat. He said, stop with the BA nonsense. He's not coming here. Well, we'll see. I mean, I know we're out.
Not? Well, why not, Jesse? Why is it nonsense? Tell me why it doesn't make sense. Because he's expensive.
It makes sense.
I'd rather have a quality wide receiver. Do you know what I mean? Give me that and Terry on the other side. I mean, that's just electric right there.
I think if you're a pragmatist and you look at it in the cold light of day, you got to pay a lot of people. Especially you just said it yourself there, Scouts. People are on 1 year deals. What if they turn out to be very good? You're going to have to start to pay them. Samuel Cosme needs a new deal. You got Jonathan Allen's got no money guaranteed. Terry's got no money guaranteed. Not everybody is going to get paid. And then you're turning around saying probably going to have to pay 30 mil to a wide receiver.
If we've got a cash-rich owner, we can
signing
make
bonus
no matter what.
Yeah, signing bonuses, you can get
low cap hits. These things can be done. As I say, if you desperately, of course, we probably won't pay every single one of those guys you just mentioned. One or two might be going, but I mean, why wouldn't you want a quality wide receiver who, if Terry does go after this season, then you got a wide receiver one right there. You're not going to mess around trying to find somebody else. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense.
And I totally get your point from a fan perspective. I want that to happen. Of course, I want that to happen because we want this team to get better in every way it can. And
we can afford it. It's not even about the money. We can afford
absolutely. And this is a way that this team can get better. But as Jesse said, again, we're not in the mix. The team has been very clear on that. Yeah, I know they have, but not everything is black and white. But I'm not trying to start rumors.
Obviously, if they're going out there saying, we're not interested, there might have been rumors we were interested, and all of a sudden we pulled out. This is all part of the game, man. This is all part of the game. We're going to try and get him for as low as we possibly can, and that includes trade bait, but then also wages. Okay, we're going to try and work it the way we can. So let's just get it, man. Let's just get it. Yeah, I mean, even Carlos mentioned there, it's a get rich quick scheme. I suppose it is. It really, especially for Ayuk, it is definitely. he'll do whatever it takes to get his payday. Doesn't matter where he's at. I mean, let's face it. If most players are mercenaries, then you've got to think of it like that. These guys are there for the money more than the club crest or the honours.
Of course they are, because you can.
So everyone's trying to get their own. So there's nothing wrong with that. You're trying to get 30 mil.
And why wouldn't you? It's generational wealth then, isn't it? That's the point. You know what I mean? You can set your family up for life and your next generations going forward. Of course, you're going to do that. It's a short window of opportunity for these players. And that's sometimes what people forget. We get too obsessed with who is in the jersey and what the name on the back of the jersey is, rather than just supporting the jersey. And that's part of the problem, unfortunately. Like you say, it's the same but it's the same in every sport. We're all exactly the same. In soccer, it's exactly the same. I look at my team, who are in League Two, in the arse end of nowhere in the country, right on the border of Scotland. We've got to pay an extra £400 a week to a player. Otherwise, we're not going to get that player, or even have a shot at getting that player, when you have, say, 30 teams in and around Manchester, and that's maybe where he's based, and he doesn't have to move his family. So it makes sense. And sometimes we're like that. We are a destination where where the people are starting to come as free agents. We saw that in this free agency. But it's still a difficult sell, unfortunately, because we're not a winning side, or a side that's seen as being in a Super Bowl window. So it's a tough sell to get there. I mean, we'll get back to the wide receivers. DQ in his press conference today said we're in the middle of a search for a wide receiver too, and a lot of players are in the mix. I mean, and he also mentioned that Zacchaeus had a good camp. I mean, he said he went from 2, 3, 4, 5. I think was what he said.
Better than I thought it would have been, to be honest, so far. So, fair play to him. I'd say I think the biggest one, the biggest mover, I think, is Dyami Brown.
100% agree with you.
I really do. I mean,
we were talking about cutting. We were.
And now he's probably right at this moment. He's probably wide receiver 2 at this moment.
I would say so.
I say Dotson's way lost his position as a wide receiver 2 at this moment. Things might change again, of course, but yeah, man, it's. Do
you think he's done that though, just for genuine competition, or what, or to give them a bit of a kick up the arse and say,
I think
you're going to have to get yourself out there?
I think mostly it's probably a kick up the arse to say, look, man, you're not guaranteed shit just because you're a first rounder. You don't put the work in. You don't do the effort, and you're not going to keep your place in the roster at wide receiver 2. You're not going to start. And any coach should do that, really. If one of the supposed star players are actually not putting the work in on the field every day, they should get bollocked. And they should go, well, no, actually, you're not guaranteed your place. And it's right.
I mean,
right way to go about it, the manager or as a head coach.
Absolutely. Kyle has put in here, scheme is not for us. BA. Build the farm, sell the crops. Shouldn't be buying expensive crops without the soil being ready to grow for the crops. That's where I'm coming from, Kyle, with a pragmatic approach. Is you need that cap space. You need to pay the players that are around you. You also need to think about what we're doing in the future, what the salary cap's going to be like the next year. You don't bring all these people in the front office who are top of the game, to try and manage the salary cap and pick up young hotshot executives from other NFL teams like the Lions and then not use them. And people just have to be patient, unfortunately, with that. And I'm going to plead this and keep pleading patience. I know no one wants that. Do I want IU? Can we afford it? Absolutely. I think it would be fantastic if we did get him in. On the other hand, though, looking at the other way, Deluxe has said if Washington gets Ayuk, he has to bring 2 more and then bring 2 more and so on, like a pyramid scheme approach almost. Yeah, again, I could see it being built that way if that's what you wanted to do. I get that. And then Rod chimed in as well and said if he stays at the 49ers, Debo will be available next year, but OT and cornerback are more important. I agree with you. We'll get into that as well a little bit.
Debo's one of those Swiss Army knives. You know what I mean? Like you don't be wrong. He's explosive, but again, I wouldn't call him a pure wide receiver too. I wouldn't call him that. He's a gadget guy. It's different kind of thing. Of course, he could be useful, but we've already got one in Eckler. I believe Eckler. I reckon Eckler does the same thing as what Debo does. Being honest,
that was good though.
Eckler. He's pretty damn good, Eckler. He's been a quality player.
If he can stay fit, yeah.
That's the only thing. He's got glass ankles. That's the only problem. But when he's healthy, man, he is top draw. So, Just read what Deluxe mentioned there. That was supposed to be sarcasm. Yeah, he read you out there, bro.
He did. Okay.
But yeah, but think like going back to what Kyle mentioned there. You know, the scheme. It's not built for him. Okay, maybe not. But again, why can't? Surely these guys can actually get used to any scheme, especially if you're that good. And you've got such great coaches in the building. That should be easy enough to sort that out. And then it says, shouldn't be buying expensive crops without soil ready to grow for the rest of the crops. Yeah, I get that as well. But the thing is any team got a perfect roster?
No, absolutely not.
Exactly. There's got to be weaknesses somewhere in the team. The difference is the better ones with coaching, but doing the right things, you know, not putting the team in bad positions where you're relying on your weaker players to produce. You get away with it. You can't have the perfect roster. You can't have the dream team. You know, there's always going to be some holes. No matter how good you think one place is, you know, next year you might lose that guy, or it's a revolving turnstile. You know what I mean? Really, revolving door in and out every year for most guys. So thinking like, oh yeah, you know, we can't afford to buy this top quality guy, or we shouldn't buy this top quality guy because, you know, we haven't got many good youngsters coming through after that. Well, the thing is like, well, you better start either trading for them, or you better start getting them nailing it in the draft. You know, these things aren't happening so easily. No, you can't. It's very, very rare you can build a complete team. It's very, very rare that happens. And even the Super Bowl teams, like, you know, even mention, you know, Kansas.
Yeah.
You know, some of their players are going, ugh, you know, what's that about? And they still win. Why? Oh, they've got great players. That's the difference. The great players step up every week, and they win most games. That's the difference. The Mahomes shows up. The Kelsey show up. See what I mean? The offensive line's pretty shit, you know, at their team, but their offense, but Mahomes he's just that good. You can get away with it. I mean, look at Allegretti, getting absolutely roasted, you know, and we're thinking he's going to be this next guy. No, mate, he was a backup there. He's just average. So, you know,
He
Mahomes
might well beat it. But he'll be better than what we've had. And I think this offensive line, I mean, we'll get into that in a second. I think this offensive line is better than we think it is. I genuinely believe that with better coaching, and I think it'll be all right. But going back to what your point, really, to come off your point, I mean, there's a tweet here from Grant Paulson that caught my eye. And he said, checking in the first 4 round picks from Ron Rivera's era and the Marty Party. Chase Young on his 3rd team in 10 months. Jamin Davis, new position, trying to make the Commanders roster. Jahan Dotson, paraphrasing, but DQ suggested today that he may not start. Emmanuel Forbes, not a starter and trying to bounce back from brutal rookie season. I mean, yeah, I get it. I get where he's coming from.
It's all well and good going, let's go for the youth and build through the draft, but you've got to hit. You can't afford to have 4 or 5 of your first team, your first, second, third rounders being shit. You can't get away with that regularly. You can't do it. Otherwise, you're going to be shit like we've been. That's just simple facts. You know, we've got to do better. I believe in the Peters era. So I'm not worried about that as such going forward. But that's why I want that. That's why I want that superstar. Do you know what I mean? That's why I want that superstar in the team, like an Ayuk. Yeah, I get it. Is he a luxury player for us? Potentially, yeah, he is. But the thing is, you know, I mentioned here, Carl mentions about kind of with a rookie quarterback, he should be running the ball, not throwing. Yeah, I get it. But the thing is,
I agree.
Daniel, he's such a good thrower at the ball that they're not going to say we're going to not run we're not going to throw the ball because he's a rookie. The guy. I mean, look what he did in the first game. Audibled out of a fucking wide receiver screen to a deep ball.
Yeah.
You know, and burnt them for 42. So, and that's the difference, that you're allowing him to have some freedom, which is nice. But also he wants to throw the ball. You see what I mean? So there's no way you're going to leave it. It's not going to be a Sam Howell where it's like 50 times a game. No, it's not going to be like that. But he's going to be throwing the ball quite a lot. So let's get him some decent weapons, man. We think all our wide receivers are good, but they're much of a muchness besides Terry, really. You know, I'd say Dotson would be skill-wise a little bit better than the rest of the others, but still not. If he's got bad attitude, then he's like wide receiver 5 at this moment. Then, you know, so it's mad.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll go back to the overview then from the Jets preseason game. First preseason game was a 2017 loss to the Jets. Not bothered about the scoreline in any way, shape, or form. Don't really mind. Pre-season is pre-season for a reason. Till it gets to competitive football,
It's a shame you lost right at the end as well, though.
Yeah, no, I get that. But
it
was a game that we were in, and there was never any doubt that, had that been a competitive fixture, it'd be like, yeah, we get that. Now, I know the Jets rested 26 starters, or 26 players, so you have to take that into consideration. You also have to take into consideration that we had a makeshift O-line, which didn't help matters. But the things that stood out for me, I mean, you talked about it a little bit there, is Jaden Daniels, obviously audible and out of that play. The Top Gun reference, yeah, I like that. It was quite funny, Ghost Rider, the pattern is full. I was laughing. I thought, good on you, DQ. It all audibled out of it, threw a deep bomb to Dyami Brown, which kind of almost solidifies Dyami Brown, as you said. Yeah, he's going to be on this roster. He showed that deep threat, good hands as well to catch. Also did it in the joint practice. So I think Dyami cemented himself well and said, yeah, I'm definitely on this team, which is what we weren't expecting. Jaden Daniels looked great. He looked great, and he looked exactly as advertised and what you want to see. Obviously ran in for a touchdown as well, which dead easy. Looked absolutely simple. I mean, he might as well have had a cup of tea.
Eckler and Wiley sold that so well.
They did.
For the blocking, then obviously the fake run from Eckler, really, really good.
And then, what did you think of the makeshift O-line? What were your thoughts on that? Because
I mean, there was good and bad, but to be expected. You've got. I thought Braden Daniels did quite well, actually, a right tackle. I thought he did quite well. Really, I thought he did quite well. When Paul was in there, tackle, he struggled. You can tell he's not a tackle. Same with Brooks. Played one tackle, he struggled. And
he's gone now.
He's gone now.
So yeah.
Yes. So Allegretti, I didn't think was very good at all. He was the biggest disappointment personally. I thought he was for the snaps he played. I thought he was pretty poor. Turner did okay. I know you're technically not really O-line, but some block. His blocking was a little bit better.
Good at Bates, and Bates was blocking as well, which was good.
Bates is always a good blocker, so I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked with that, but yeah, I mean, much of a muchness. Yeah, there was some good, there was some bad. Got to be expected.
So what really stood out for you then, Scouse, in this game? What was your either we'll go with a positive first, then we'll go with a negative if you want to do it that way. What was your positive? What really stood out for you?
Well, the easy one was obviously Jaden Daniels. I mean that was also Cliff Kingsbury, I think, as well. The way that first drive was
the scheme works. It looks good.
Going about it. Yes, it was. I think it was like was it 7-3 in the first 10? Something like that, 7 runs, 3 passes, something like that. And that should be really as what Mikal mentioned. You should run it more with a rookie quarterback.
Correct. Yeah.
So it should be about that type of percentage. It might not be like that going forward, but that is quite nice to ease the guy in, And as you say, he was pretty good. Obviously, the first pass wasn't the best, though, was it?
Straight over the head of Eckler, yeah. I mean, that's just that's nerves, isn't it? That is nerves and other bits and pieces. You think of yourself.
First game against real NFL players.
Exactly that.
So yeah, man. I mean, I say that's probably those two are probably the biggest things, really.
Shout out to the Friday Football podcast, which is Cam McDonald's podcast. He said, so has Brown been coaching or attitude issues up till this season? I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's not attitude for Brown. I think it's coaching has been a problem for him. And also, he's somewhere I read that he's 500 balls a game afterwards. He's up the jogs machine trying to make sure his hands are good. And that he's been working his absolute.
I can definitely see that, though. You can see his catching. That one-handed catch in the game was actually pretty superb. So, and he did a couple of those in training as well, hasn't he? So
yeah, he has.
He definitely improved his catching ability. He's always had the speed. So it's one of them, man.
Kyle, I agree with you again. He said the best QBs in the league typically don't need to have weapons traded for unless it's a bargain. Big contracts and big money are rare with good QBs. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from like that. I mean, if you look at like you were saying, look at the wide receivers in Kansas City. You're an ex-rugby player trying to make the roster there. You've got, Hollywood Brown, who's a bit of a nomad.
Hurt himself, by the way.
Hurt himself, I know.
I mean, don't get me wrong. A high-level quarterback can mask some of the problems on the offense, 100%. Especially the wide receivers. But it's that kind of thing, though. you can always argue it either way. The quarterback makes the receiver, or the receiver can make the quarterback. I mean, it's one of them because if the quarterback's not accurate, but you've got an excellent receiver, the receiver will still make it happen. Do you know what I mean? So there's still different. There's nuances there. Obviously, it's got to be a symbiotic, relationship. The receiver and the quarterback. But it's. I say, I just want someone to be scared of us. Do you know what I mean? Like when we go on the field, the defense comes on and goes, yeah, we've got fucking
Terry.
This guy playing. We've got McCaffrey, this rookie. We've got no idea who he's about. He doesn't look that good. Oh, we've got a washed up Latavius Bryant. Oh yeah, really going to scare. That's going to scare a Sauce Gardner, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like these guys are going to go. Oh, when you got wait there a minute, you got someone who's a top quality receiver. Everyone's got respect for someone like Ayuk, and you've got Terry. Everyone's got loads of respect for Terry as well. That's what I want, man. I want to see teams going. Shit, we need to make sure that we're locking those two down, which then opens up everything else. You know what I mean? So,
and even if you're a top cornerback in this league, the wide receiver is always going to have the edge because it's a passing league now. That's the way the rules.
And you can't defend because of the rules.
And you can't defend it. Yeah. And they're always going to have a little bit of separation. So that's why corners are worth more than the weight in gold, especially if you've got a really good corner. And that's
which we've not got forever.
Yeah, we can talk about that, I think. Moving on then, Kyle, who is in our chat with us, and he's been very active, and thank you for being with us, Kyle. He said, he put a question into us, Podfather himself. If you haven't already subscribed, what are you doing? Which rock have you been hiding under? Go and subscribe to the Burgundy Zone. It's a fantastic podcast. We always watch it. There are brothers out there, and they are fantastic, all three of them. Very funny as well, you know what I mean? Underratedly funny. Some of the times I've had listening to that pod has made me chuckle so much that I nearly crashed the car, but yeah, we'll get into that for another day. He said, the matchup you're looking forward to hearing about versus the Dolphins, and not an easy answer, please. So what are you looking forward to hearing from the Dolphins, and what matchup are you looking at?
I mean, before obviously any injuries, I was looking forward to Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
And see how he actually performs against a decent pass rush, But I don't think he's going to. I genuinely believe he's not going to play. So yeah, so I'll be upset with that one. What else? I mean, for me, it's always. Let's face it, our two most biggest glaring hole position wise is tackles and corners. It's by far. So if obviously we're going to have backup tackles playing again, Chris Paul playing at right tackle or Daniels again, those type things. Okay, but so I'm not expecting them to win a lot. So I'm not looking forward to that matchup. What I'm looking forward to then is looking at the corners and seeing, can say Ghost actually lock somebody down? Can Forbes actually do something? Actually stop a guy? Can he actually create a pick? In a game scenario under this regime. I want to see what Quan Martin can do as well. So I'm looking more at the secondary matchups, really.
Okay. For me, I'm going running back, and I really want to see who is going to be running back 3. Chris Rodriguez didn't seemingly have much of a punch. He had no punch at the line, which is surprising because we saw it last season when we thought, look, B-Rob's going to get tired. You're going to have Gibson in as that almost like that passing back that you've got there, and then we'll bring Rodriguez in, and it's just going to be pound it through again, similar to Robinson, and he looked good in games last season. Now I'm looking at this and going, hang on a minute, Wiley looked pretty good. And then you have what's the fourth running back called? I'm sure there's a question in with
McNichol, wasn't it?
McNichol, Jeremy McNichol, yeah. He's the third running back, I think, or on there. He looked good as well. And then you're thinking,
I agree.
He did, and there's a bit of punch there, and you're thinking, hang on a minute, where are we going here? It's always, preseason is always about the bottom of the roster guys for me. That's all it's about, is can they make this roster? Are they going to be there? I mean, it's a 54-man roster. It's 100% 54 because we've got a Nigerian international player pathway, so he gets a free pass automatically. But looking at that, it's like, yeah, that's where I want to go. I want to see what they're doing at running back. I want to see, is Eckler going to be this Swiss Army knife gadget guy that you talked about? Is he going to be the pass catching back? Is he going to be, more of a downhill runner? B-Rob looked fantastic in the game, you know what I mean, against the Jets. So he just needs to carry on as he's going. And we know what he's like. We know what he can offer. But it's who's coming behind him, because that's going to be all important when it comes down to these roster cut days. So that's where I would go with that, mate.
I mean, to be fair, I actually liked your point there, really. I mean, I just think after what I see, I think I asked this on the Burgundy Zone, actually.
Yeah.
As Rodriguez kind of like lost a kind of, is he kind of like running back 4 at this point? Is he kind of like lost his position? Because he didn't do anything. I'd say he had no push. He didn't have nothing. No, he just ran to the back of the offensive line and just got nothing. So I say, and even Brian mentions C-Rod looks sluggish. He did. And you're thinking, so that kind of worries me, especially when, as you say, he's not much of a passing down kind of back. McNichols obviously are much more into that, and so is Eckler. So, you kind of, man, it's going to be interesting to see who produces in this weekend.
100%. Going back to the game previously, Rob Morrison put a question in, and so did Christian Burt. So Christian's UK HTTC is at Christian Burt. Also, your podcast co-host on Red Zone in the UK, which I think will be starting up in the season, won't it, Scouse? With Deuce.
Should be.
Good stuff. So yeah, shout out to Christian. He said obviously Dyami Brown. Might we finally see the breakout season for a legitimate wide receiver too? Always recall that Chris Sims had him as the 3rd best wide receiver in the 2021 draft. Now I think
I don't listen to a word about Chris Sims.
No, not for me either. But will he break out to be wide receiver 2? I think you just said it before. He probably is wide receiver 2 at the moment on this chart.
At this moment on form, as in like what's happened so far in pre-season compared to the other receivers. Yeah, I do. He's made a big jump compared to the others. The other guys haven't really done much to kind of like go, wow, okay, yeah, he's cemented this place. I haven't seen that yet from any of them. So, for sure. So, wide receiver 2 is now on the table. Before, I thought it was always Dotson. Even if he was playing poorly, it's still going to be him. Now, after today, it's a different thing, man. It really is. I say, why would that number 2 slot is wide open for anyone.
And then Rod, who's in our chat with us tonight as well, so thank you for being with us, Rod. He put a question to us. He said, discussion point. Yeah, I know it's pre-season game, but I think it's clear even with the makeshift O-line how much better the scheme and play calling was, and how better coaching with a clear direction has made this team in all phases better going forward. Yeah, I agree completely. It was so evident, wasn't it, looking at it, that like you said, 7 runs to 3 passes, and then you're looking at this scheme and going, wow, actually, this is okay. You know what I mean? There was no panic when you got to the red zone. It was just a simple play call. We'll move it into the red zone. So
that was clearly calm by Daniels.
Absolutely. Clearly with this install and what they've been doing in training, or when you look back and you hear and you watch the press conferences, Dan Quinn is constantly preaching 2-minute drill, red zone drill. We'll start with red zone. How many days out of the 14 days or whatever it is that we've been practicing have we heard Dan Quinn say, yeah, we'll start with red zone. They're always doing red zone or 2-minute drills.
I mean, look at today. Was it today or was it yesterday? Was it this morning or yesterday?
Today, yeah, joint practice today.
Joint practice today. He was 5 for 5 in the red zone. I mean,
well, we'll get on to that.
Okay, he wasn't much good according to what they were saying about when he went back to full pitch. But that shows though how much they're practicing in the red zone. Correct. Is that we were really proficient. And we're really proficient in the red zone, which is that's the money area. You know what I mean? You need to be there in the regular to get the points. You need to win games. So I'm all for it, man. I'm all for that.
So looking back then at today's joint practice, which was a seamless transition from you there, Scouse. So I appreciate you doing that, mate. It was you knew we're on point here. We are at Zen. We are as one. So no, it was really good. Thank you for that. He said basically looking back at the local beat reporters and the Miami beat reporters, Jayden Daniels has lit up the Miami beat reporters. They seem to be all over this. Washington Commanders rookie QB Jayden Daniels giving Miami's defense a hell in red zone drills. He was 5 consecutive TD passes against the Dolphins defense. Then another one saying even with the ball getting tipped at the line by Miami's defense, Jayden Daniels completes an 8-yard TD pass for an easy TD pass to McLaurin. Then 2-minute drill for a final period of the Dolphins practice. Emmanuel Forbes and Jeremy Chin had PBUs, which is great to see. Jaden Daniels. Go on, mate. Yeah,
no, see, what I like there was what you mentioned there is that Terry was wide open in the red zone. When was the last time you saw that in any game? You never see Terry. You see him double teamed, and that's all you ever see. You never see him actually in the red zone doing anything. That's why he has such low touchdown stats every year. Oh, he has about 5 or 6 a year. It's not a lot for a wide receiver one, but because he's double teamed over and over again, obviously these guys know to scheme him open. It's massive. It's massive already.
So there were a couple of picks. So we've got to be honest here. He is a rookie, and it is a joint practice. So we understand things like this are going to happen. Yeah, one was a tipped ball. Yeah, so it was a tipped pass, then caught by Marcus May for an interception. Then to finish practice, there was an interception thrown by Jaden Daniels straight to Kendall Fuller.
Terry slipped though on that play.
Terry did slip.
Said
on
it was
that play.
The Miami guys were saying it was a well thrown ball. So it was just because Terry slipped. That's why the interception happened. So again, those ones are not on the QB, or the tip one potentially, But you got to do better with the guy handing the face, throw it around him, sidearm it, or even just throw it away. If you're in that much duress. But in general, the second one's definitely not on him.
So going to the defensive side of the ball, John Allen blew up Robert Jones, would have killed Tua. This is according to Mitch Tischler, saying after the play, some small scuffles broke out with Daron Payne and Leon Eichenberg, but nothing major. And then another scuffle broke out between Andre Jones and Johnny Smith. Jones threw Johnny Smith's helmet. Daron Payne and Liam Eichenberg exchanged words with heavy shoves. Again, nothing big. We discussed Bo Bauer, who went to the MRI room after having the cart brought out. And then, that is pretty much it, really, for joint practice today. Not a massive amount of coverage, which you wouldn't really expect because it's in Miami. You know what I mean?
They're not allowed, though, are they? They're not allowed to film it.
They're not, no. The only other thing that did bring up, which was Mitch, again, has brought this up. He said Sam Rastil might already be the best corner on this team. He plays smart, back-to-back with him. Dolphins ran a reverse. He stayed home and got a tackle for loss. Then Tyreek Hill ran a fake reverse. He stayed at home and forced Tua to check it down. He also had a PBU on Tyreek in the end zone. Now,
Sanderstro's a beast. I've been telling you he's a beast. He's going to be a beast. I say he's ultra smart as well. So,
and there's Brian, as seamless as it gets again in our chat, saying heard Sanderstil was great. Yeah, you're right, Brian. He was. That was again. We're all like Zen in this chat today. I don't know what's going on.
But man. I say, by far he's our best corner. But he's not big enough to play outside. He's going to be the guy in the middle there.
He's going to be the nickel in a.
He is going to be, and he was mine as well, Brian.
Scousey's camera is now covered in white. Yeah,
you can't see this. Then can you not see that? Then Scott.
He's saying because we're talking about Samra still. And we
can't see that. No, that's white.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know. He is unreal. I mean, a great draft pick, and you actually had him in your draft. So fair play to you, mate. Fair play to you because that was a really good call, and I think he's going to be a very, very good player for this team. Very, very good.
Yeah, player. I mean, one guy we've not mentioned is Sinnott. Actually, Ben Sinnott.
Absolutely right. Yeah, from the game, he had an angry run, as they called it on NFL.
He won't be in the full games, mate. He won't be in main games. Go on, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, he had an angry run, and had players hanging off his back, and he still ran for more and more yards. I think Sinnott is going to slowly integrate himself into the team. I don't think he's going to be.
He's Chris Cooley, mate. That's what he is.
Well, he is. He is Chris Cooley 2.0. Bang on.
Same build, everything about him. Yeah, seriously. So, So
I think he's going to be a bit of a fan favourite.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, don't forget. I mean, Zach Ertz is that Zach Ertz didn't play?
No,
today?
he's not. He wasn't playing today because apparently his wife is 9 months pregnant. So
I think she had the baby today. I think.
Has she actually had the baby? Wow, cool.
Yeah.
No, well, congratulations to them, and also and condolences, shall we say?
I think they just want to argue with me every single time, man. Like Sanistril just won't play outside. Trust me, man. When it comes to the main games, he won't be playing there.
I don't know. It depends
Simple as, man. He's just not. Unless you've got like 4 injuries to the corners, and you're going to play him outside then. No, he is a slot corner.
So we did congratulations to Zach Ertz and his wife. Let's do condolences as well because Cornelius Lucas lost his mum. So that's why he wasn't playing last week or he wasn't in the facility. So thoughts are with him as well. You know what I mean? It's not that's not good for anybody. So yeah, man, sorry about that. And then
your pain.
Trying to get back to. Thanks, Rod. We'll see you again soon, mate. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate it, and thank you as always for putting questions into us. We can't thank you enough for that. You're always there, so appreciate it. Rod actually put a question in on Tuesday. I'm like, come on, dude. You might as well just text me after the game, mate, because you know what I mean. Fair play. Absolutely awesome. But yeah, it's one of them. Looking at this pre-season preview, we're going into the pre-season preview then against Miami. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. And midnight here in the UK into Sunday morning. Staying up to watch it, Scouse? Or
of course, it's pretty obvious.
It's only midnight. It's not like Monday
night early for us, bro.
Where it's 3 a.m. or whatever.
Exactly, man.
Honestly, mate, them 1:30 kickoffs.
They're killer. They're killers.
They are awful. They are absolutely awful. But yeah, I mean, looking at this, what are you most looking forward to in this game? What's going to stand out for you?
Did you mention about the kind of? I mean,
we sort of did, didn't we? But
I mean, I just really want to see more solid play. I just want to see improvements across the board, even if it's only small. I'm not expecting perfection, but you strive for perfection. Do you know what I mean? You never achieve it, but you always try and strive for it. And that's always been my way. So I'm expecting a little bit better again this time round. Different matchups, different. I want to see schemes. I want to see is Cliff just all about one type of scheme, or are they going to change it up, or these type of things? I want to see different things, but also, a little bit better execution on certain things as well, especially the blocking.
So yeah, Carl Lawson is just Rudy, who's on here from YouTube. Thanks for being with us. He said my boys have got Carl Lawson. Yes, so he's just signed for the Cowboys. So by the looks of it, so yeah, okay, fair play. Carl Lawson, former Cincinnati Bengals end. So yeah, he's signed for the Cowboys by the looks of it.
He's actually any good, this guy. Let's face it.
He's pretty good. He's a decent player. He is a decent player.
Why is he still available then if he's decent?
Good bit of depth there. I don't know if he's been cut or what. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who he was with last season. But yeah, I just had a quick Google there while we were on.
Man, Canada Mike.
So yeah, Canada Mike will be up to. I'll be up to. You're in Canada. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was thinking to myself, well, okay. I mean, looking at Cameron there in with us as well, he's like, yeah, I've got.
It's nice to have these. It's nice to see some other fans coming from different teams.
Absolutely, and it's open to anyone for an NFL chat. Welcome. So, Rudy, welcome. Thanks for being with us.
We can take the heat as well. We'll give it. Trust me, we'll give it as well if you want it.
Absolutely.
We'll give it.
It's no problem at all, dude. Lots of positives. This is a questions actually from Rob Morrison. So we'll get into our fan questions, mate, because there's about 25 of them. So it's crazy. The amount of ones. Honestly, we got loads in, and it was wild. So thank you everyone who put questions in. Can't thank you enough. Rob Morrison, who's just left us, he said, "Well, lads, it'd be a positive one, but so early for a question on Thursday. Who will be potentially available to add depth and experience at offensive tackle? And can we agree that Forbes is a bust?" and will Samra still play outside? Jesse thinks he will play outside. You think he won't play outside? I think he will play partly outside at times, but I don't think he'll start outside.
I just genuinely believe like that he'll be the starting slot. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe one snap here and there, you might be outside, but 99% of his play is going to be in the middle.
So. What about depth? What about depth at O-line? anything available? Because right now there isn't anything available. We have to wait till cut downs.
That's the problem. You see, good quality tackles and don't grow on trees. You know, the good ones have already been taken, or they've got something wrong with them. They've got some red flags somewhere. You know,
Bakhtiari's still out there, isn't he? But is he fit? Is he fit? Who knows?
Yeah. So this is the problem, man. That's the problem. Yeah, is he got the quality if he's available to play and he's fit? Yeah, but
I mean,
his red flags of injuries.
I mean, last week Smith from the Cowboys who went across to the Jets, he looked awful.
Yeah.
So in joint practice, I mean, he didn't play in the game. I get that, but he did not look good. So yeah
man. I just think, it's slim pickings out there at tackle, man. It really is, man. Unless there's a very, very big time shock player being cut or after being traded or something like that. From a contract dispute or something like that. Unless something like that happens, it's not going to happen, man. We're going to be stuck there with some pretty bang average tackles, man. And I'm scared for Jaden. I'm scared for Jaden on it.
Well, we knew it was a problem going into it, but we hope that Brandon Coleman gets fit and we
I hope he's the answer, man. I really do. I'm praying he's the answer because if he is, then we've nailed that draft already.
Absolutely. If you can get a starting franchise quarterback
and you
can get
solid left tackle.
Then you've in the third round as well. You've nailed it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so Canada Mike, who's in our chat with us, he has sent in about 15 questions as he always does. Thank you. F to Buffalo as well. Yeah, F the Bills and all that. Keep rocking our 1 Point Safety Show mug as you walk around. Buffalo, love it. He said, "Is kicker becoming a real issue?" I mean, we touched on it a little bit earlier. Scouse. Yes, is the answer.
It's bad, man. It's bad. I'm even thinking about taking a chance to go. Yeah, let me try out for you. Seriously, this is how bad our kickers have got and how bad our situation is. I mean, I think we've really been left in the shit there by McManus in a big way.
100% agree.
Oh,
I don't think McManus didn't even have an amazing leg either.
Nah, he's good. Nah, he's better than you think, you know.
But he is good. He was a good kicker, but he didn't have an amazing leg, is what I'm saying. He didn't have a leg like, dare I say it, Joey Sly. He didn't have a long leg, the big like length. I think his furthest was like 53. I think.
McManus. 61, man. 61 is
really
is better. But obviously, he was in Denver at that point.
Okay, so you've got to give the altitude a bit
further. Yeah. You know what I mean? So there might be an element to that, sure, but he's still a decent leg, you know. And say he's a lot more consistent than what we've had here in a long time. You know, Joey Sly, put it down 55 yards. Yeah, you feel pretty confident he'll nail it through. Give him a 25-yarder, he puts it wide. You know, so
or an extra point.
You can't have that as you kick it. You've got to be solid in the 40 and in. You know what I mean? 40 and shorter. You've got to be solid. You've got to be like 9 out of 10 every time from that distance. Obviously, we can let it go if it's a deep one, 55 yard and you miss. Okay, you can get away. Not get away with it, but you can understand it. You can understand why you missed. But these guys, man, these new, and then you see these new guys coming out who are smashing it from 60 yards in. You're thinking, like rookies that are coming through.
Look at the guy who signed for the Saints. The Smith is his surname from GAA. So he's come from Gaelic football over in Ireland. You know, he's smashing the winning field goal. It looks the business. He looks the absolute business as well. So,
I'm surprised a lot more rugby players, especially the guys who used to kick it.
Well, Harry Mallinder, who played for England. Do you know what I mean? He's an England international. Great player. He tried out with the international player pathway this year and never heard of since. So
those guys would be perfect. Wouldn't they be perfect for a kicker though? Because
he was a kicker. So no, in fact, I'm lying to you. I think Mallinder was a punter, so maybe slightly different there. But I don't know. Another question from Canada Mike. He said, "Is Daniels to Sinnott going to be the new Brady to Gronk?"
No.
I
mean, to be fair, what I've been reading and hearing about is that his best target is actually Zach Ertz.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
So it's interesting. I mean, that could be the connection of the Tom Brady and and the Gronk scenario. But again, unfortunately, if Zach Ertz was 5 years younger, potentially, But yeah, man. I mean, obviously, Sinnott will come into his own because we know what Zach Ertz is about. He's solid, but he won't last this full season. He just gets hurt. It just is what it is. So
I'm hoping not. Touch words.
Touch wood, he doesn't. But from the last 4 years, that's what we've seen. So most of his career, to be honest, he gets hurt. So it's just a case of can Sinnott take over when he does get hurt, and that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that Sinnott can do it. I think he's going to be a beast. I do. I mean, he might not be instant success this season, but you give him enough snaps this year to learn the nuances, and then next year you'll see a big difference in the guy. But we'll see how it goes.
So another one from Canada, Mikey says, which Wiley is better, Michael or Turnstile?
That's not even a question, that bro. Yeah, I want to see Michael a little bit, and he's way better than Turnstile. So for sure, man, for sure. Give me Turnstile. No, don't give me Turnstile. Get rid of Turnstile for me, so it's easier for me because the name I associate the name Wiley with being awful. So Michael needs to change it for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I understand. Another question here from Jesse. He says, does Scouse wake up at Bell End or does he warm up to it throughout the day? Very, very harsh, that,
just born that way, mate, But you wouldn't want me any other way, though, would you, Jesse? Do you know what I mean?
He loves you, really, and he knows that. He can't wait to spend time with you in 4 weeks' time. That's the point, isn't it? Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, something like that, mate.
Simon Thurston, who is at Simon P. Thurston on X, also dabbles a bit in the blogs with Christian Burt. Good bloke, really nice guy, massive Skins fan, Commanders fan, whatever you want to call it. A punter wearing 10, right or wrong? Surely it's a QB or wide receiver number. No?
Yeah, it does look a bit weird, doesn't it, when you see Tress come out with number 10 on it, Yeah, I don't like him being number 10. To be fair, as I say, there should be more of a receiver's number, really.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But again, he's lost number 5, so it's a bit.
So yeah, what number does he go to? Yeah, it's a strange one. I don't know. I don't even know what number is available, really. I mean, what number did Trace McSorley pick up? I've got no idea. I haven't even seen him yet. So
does he even have a number yet? I don't know.
I'm not sure either. But yeah, it's not a number. You're correct. It's not a number for a wide receiver. For a punter. It's definitely a QB number or a wide receiver number. But again, numbers are weird. Why is Mariota wearing 0? I mean, what?
Just because he is a 0. That's the problem. This guy that pulls his groin getting off the bench. That's the reason why he's not playing this weekend. Go away, Mariota. You can leave. You can make it like a tree and leave.
I don't know. Yeah, I like that. Hey, you were a poet there and you didn't even know it. Look at it. Get in. Hey, look at that. Another question. This is from Andy Burrows from the Talk of the Town podcast, from the coaching staff of Dunstable Town FC, and from the Bunker podcast, which I hope will
4 straight.
Hey, don't take the piss out of Burrows, man. He's the goat. He is at Washington UK fan. He said, "You can go back and do one sporting day again in history. What day are you picking and why? P.S. Scouse is a sex machine."
Yeah, steady with that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, steady with that.
What day are you picking?
Does he mean any? Does he mean any sport?
Any sporting day? Any sporting day is what I think that for as. Me,
would have to be Liverpool's Champions League 2005 final.
Woof.
We're 3-0 down at half time. I broke my hand in the pub at half time. Got me tooth chipped by a flying glass when Vladimir Smicer actually scored the second goal. When we made it 3-2 down, the beers went flying everywhere. I mean, we were jam-packed in this bar in Liverpool, man. It was like you could not move. It was sardined, you know what I mean? And then once Vladimir scored, and guys threw his pint up in the air, and the glass actually hit me in the mouth and actually broke my teeth at the front.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was all worth it because we came back to 3-0 and then we won it in penalties. You know what I mean? So it was like against like probably one of the greatest AC Milan teams of all time. I mean, the team was unbelievable. You look back at who was playing in that game. Seedorf was playing, Cafu, Dida, Maldini, Nesta, all these dudes, man. Honestly, you go through that team, it was ridiculous.
Is that the Jerzy Dudek game?
Yeah, the Dudek save at the
Shevchenko
when he was like Europe's best at that point. I mean, yeah, man. I mean, it was just like we should never have won that game, especially from 3-0 down at half time. Like we should never,
ridiculous. Yeah,
we just came back, man. Scored 3 goals in 10 minutes, man. That was phenomenal. And then we just held on for the rest of it because we got battered the rest of the game, and then we won it in penalties. But what an atmosphere! What a night! What a day! It was phenomenal, man. People were hanging off when we won. People were literally climbed up on like traffic lights, like really high up. Hanging on it like this and like just dangling off them. Honestly, man, it was just you couldn't even walk outside in Liverpool Town Centre. It was just that rammed. It was just ridiculous. It was just an unbelievable feeling.
For me, obviously, it's not a Washington thing at all. It is a Carlisle United thing. So I remember the day always. It's the 8th of May 1999. I'll never forget it because it's also my wife's birthday. It's not my wife's birthday. It's Sir Jimmy's day, as I know it. Jimmy Glass scored the winning goal to keep Carlisle in the Football League. We were absolutely dead and buried. We were 1-0 down. It was the goalkeeper. He was on loan, emergency goalkeeper who we signed from Bournemouth. We'd actually sold our only goalkeeper who was fit to Blackpool in the transfer window. And then the other guy got injured. It was, and then we ended up getting special dispensation off the FA to sign a goalkeeper, and we got Jimmy on loan. Jimmy played 2 games before that. He was pretty garbage, to be honest, but we're miles adrift. And weirdly enough, that team were playing Plymouth at home, and it was 1-1. And David Brightwell had scored and made it back to 1-1. And we had to win to stay in the league, or else that's it. You're in the conference. You're non-league. And one of the players for Plymouth broke his leg, unfortunately, and he got stretchered off. So we ended up with like 9 minutes injury time, and Scarborough had finished and they drew, which gave them enough to stay up. So their fans were on their pitch running around going mental, like, yeah, we've stayed up. But we were still in injury time. And I remember the ball going out to the corner, and it just went out for a corner, and then the ball came across in. Graham Anthony crossed the ball in. Scott Dobie headed it down. The keeper parried it. And this red machine, Jimmy Glass, just literally rifled the ball into the back of the net. Nigel Pearson was our manager at the time, and he just waved him up and went, fuck it, go on. Go get up there. You might as well give it a go. And it was just pure fucking bedlam. I mean, if you watch it back, you can see me. I'll point it out to me. You can see me run on the pitch. I just went ape shit and ran on a pitch, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I went just mental running forward. No, there was about 3,500 people invaded the pitch at the same time. It was crazy, like an instant pitch invasion. And then he couldn't keep them off the pitch, and it was like, come on, you've got to get off. We've got to try and get it back going. And then when he, I did actually. I did run. Yeah, I promise you. I was quite fit back then. I was only 14, bless me. But no, it finished, and obviously the relief of just going, oh my God, we've actually just done it. We've stayed up. It's a miracle. And then at the end of it, Jimmy Glass came off, and my granddad, you can see him on the pitch as well, on the pictures. My granddad leaned over the hoardings just to give him a bit of a cuddle and like say, yeah, well done. And as he did it, he pulled him like that, and his nose started bleeding. So he's got a bleeding nose everywhere from my granddad. And then I got one of his gloves. I've still got it. I'll have to find it out for you. But I got one of his gloves. I don't know where the other one is. Some other random person's got it. But I got one of his gloves. And years later, probably 10 years later, I actually went to the club and I got it signed by him. So yeah, it's pretty sweet. Like, yeah, weirdly enough, we never even signed him again. So it's just crazy. But yeah, that's the greatest sporting day of my life. And I'll never forget that day because it's my wife's birthday. So there you go.
Yeah,
but yeah,
if only, mate. I wasn't, unfortunately, Brian. I wasn't born, mate.
I know. So Brian's saying
born November '83, so I missed that one.
Scott Dobie of Queen of the South, indeed. Football podcast. And Cameron McDonald says 8th of Jan, night 2006, Clyde 2, Celtic 1, Scottish Cup.
Oh yeah, remember that?
Keane's Celtic debut. Yeah, I remember that too.
The embarrassment on Keane's face, man, was brilliant.
But yeah, man, it's just bringing back massive memories here. I love it. I love it.
Stevie G there, Gerard, and
Stevie G, yeah, absolutely.
we had 11 Carragher's. Well, we did, yeah.
Phew,
Especially like
yeah.
when we got back to 3-0, we did. We just like sat back. We were done. We were spent. We spent all our energy getting back to 3-0, and that 10-minute block right after half time was just phenomenal. And after that, we were just passengers, but we just held on. It's brilliant.
Well, back to football and proper football, or egg handball, whatever you want to call it. He's Alid, who is at Wales Commander. Shout out to Alid. He's currently on a podcast doing an NFC East roundtable, as far as I'm aware. And he is,
really?
he is,
Nice.
yeah, and he's traveling to Tampa Bay for game 1. So fair play to him for going out on his own. Loves an away game, does Alid? So I don't know why.
He just never comes to hang out with us though. When it comes,
I
to
know
the
he
home
did it.
game.
He did it 1 year and just went, "No, I'm not doing that again. I'm gone."
Bad enough for you,
fair-
Phil. Yeah.
Yeah, fair play. He said Ertz and Sinnott will they be played in tandem, or is one of them going to have more reps than the other? And what about Turner?
I mean, I do think Ertz is the tight end one, and he will be. But Sinnott will get snaps. Don't get me wrong, and there will sometimes be 2 tight ends on the field. I do think sometimes they will play that. But I do think when you're looking at snap counts overall, yeah, Ertz is going to outweigh quite a bit, I think. But again, I'm Turner. I mean, I'm one of them guys that I'm just not into it. I'm just not into Turner. He's not really produced much. I know he's had bad coaching and then bad O-line and then bad quarterback play, and I get it, But when he's been healthy, I've mentioned that, and he's had injuries.
Yeah.
Once he's actually been fit, he's not done anything. He knocked himself out catching a ball. You know what I mean? Give himself a concussion, catching the ball, hitting his head on the floor. Remember that in the game?
Yeah, I do. And then he was a healthy scratch.
And then that was it. He was out for like 5 weeks with a concussion, so it was just a bit like, oh, me.
He was a healthy scratch on the last 2 games as well, which worries you a bit.
Yeah, I mean he's fighting there to stay in the roster of my book.
Well, how many tight ends are we going to keep? That's the other thing. How many tight ends are you going to keep? Are you keeping 4? Are you keeping 3? Because if you're keeping 3, Bates is a lock, Ertz is a lock, and Sinnott's a lock. That's 3 done.
Yeah.
Yankoff's had a good camp, so we don't know what's going to happen with him.
Again, he's a prime practice squad player.
Of course he is, absolutely. But Cole Turner, if you keep him 4,
if you keep him 4, he might be tight end 4. If you keep him 4, if you keep him 3, he won't be making the team.
No, it's going to be, and it's difficult because of other areas where we're heavily focused and we've got a lot of supposed depth, like defensive end, defensive tackle. There's 12 wide receivers in this squad. It's really difficult to break it down and to go, right, well, that's 6 are going. There's none of this shit where in the past you had, Tariq Castro Fields, he's still hanging out, but yeah, I know he is. But you had players who, Whiteside, who you were like, yeah, bye, see ya. You know what I mean? You knew where you could cut. Right now, you don't know where you're going to cut, and that's part of the problem because, as we said, the depth isn't necessarily there. So, Ali, great question.
Normally, that's a good thing. Normally, that's a good thing, though, where it's difficult to say where you're going to chop some wood off, But it's not because we got such a great team. No, it isn't. It isn't that. It's just that, as you say, the depth and the level of the guys just underneath the starters are all pretty similar. They're not like, do you know what I mean? And that's why I say it's difficult who could go because anyone could be cut. And would you really be shocked? Not really. Do you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And Scott G saying here says, do you keep 3 or 4 running backs versus tight ends will be the determining factor for Turner, which will come down to special teams contributions. Agreed. If you're looking at Wiley,
is Turner good at special teams?
No,
I don't think he is.
Really. Not really. No. Wiley's on special teams, and he looked pretty decent in the Jets game. And who's the third running back at the moment that we're talking about, Paul? McNichol, isn't it? Jeremy McNichol. He's been hanging around. He looked okay for a few snaps, no issues at all. Then you've got Rodriguez as well. What's happening with him? It's really tough to predict this roster, and we will do that. We'll have to do a roster projection pod a little bit later on.
Huh.
Cam's right here as well. 12 wide receivers, but trying to struggle to pick a wide receiver too. So why would you keep 4 tight ends? Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and I think the problem is you know, that you will obviously trim that down to probably 6 or maybe 7 at most. You know, and it'll be, as I say, I wouldn't be shocked who would get cut. The only one really shocked me right now would be Dotson if he got.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But,
Yeah,
but everybody
100%.
else is a bit like carry on. Do you know what I mean? So, and the thing is though, is that with the tight ends, I know people saying here, Jesse's mentioned 3 running backs, 4 tight ends. They've got to be good at blocking, because at the end of the day, if they're not good at blocking, there's no point, because our tackles are dog shit. So, if you're going to have an extra tight end in, you better be good at blocking if you're not going to use them in the pass, if it's not going to be a passing play, or you're not going to use them as the receiver. So, you know, you might see Bates more than say Sinnott, just purely for that reason.
Yeah.
That to help out on the line, just to actually block, just help Daniels a bit more, that extra couple of seconds, you know what I mean? That might be the way to go. So you might have like a receiving guy and Bates all the time, because let's face it, Turner might be. He said he blocked quite well last game, yeah, but
He did.
But his blocking isn't like I wouldn't want to put him up against a Micah Parsons and say, "Go ahead, mate, try and block him." No,
Miles Garrett or something like that.
No, you know what I mean. And you know, at least Bates can kind of hold his own. I mean, I'm not saying obviously no. Parsons would obviously beat him up, but I'm just saying in general, he is a quality blocker. You know, he's ranked number 1 tight end blocker is rookie year.
Yeah, exactly.
So the guy's got pedigree, do you know what I mean? Whereas Turner's like, oh, I've improved it, but is that good enough when you've got bad tackles next to him? No, it's not good enough. So that's why I can't see him being on the team, barring an injury to a Sinnott, and then you're going to use him more as a receiver.
Mm.
So that's why he's tight end 4. He's tight end 4 for me. But then do you use him? Do you have a 4th, because he doesn't really block that well, and he's going to be a 3rd kind of receiver tight end, if that makes sense, out the 4. So it's a bit like, he's definitely a guy you could definitely go more. I'd probably go more running back. I'd probably go that more than the tight end at this moment.
So another question here from Darren Hafferley. He is at Darren Hafferley. Shout out to Darren. Be like Darren. Subscribe. Buy our merch as well. What a guy.
Yeah,
he said, and we're going to see him in 4 weeks. He hates you calling him Daz. He really does. Yeah. He's a good guy. He's a big lad as well. So good luck with that, Scouse, when he sees you. You want to get loaded. But he said, the last time I asked this question, we had more gaps than you can shake a stick at. Now we've plugged some gaps, but name one player from each NFC East opponent to fill our gaps for the coming season. Keep up the good work. So I'll let you go first with where you want to plug a gap, and I'll try and do the same thing. So what gaps are we using first? I'm going to say tackle, I'm going to say wide receiver, and corner. That's what we should choose from. And let's choose one from each of the 3 remaining teams. So you want to go first, mate? You can go first. You pick away.
I mean, I also had kicker on the list as well. But
good shout. Okay, let's do it then.
There's only 3, so again, there's only 3 teams. So I mean, if I'm looking at receiver or kicker, I'm looking at Dallas.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at CeeDee Lamb.
Receiver. Hold out. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, as I say, and the guy tears up. He's one of the best receivers in the year. I know you could say, well, you'll get AJ Brown and these are the guys, but for me,
Aubrey was an unbelievable kicker as well. He was very, very good.
Yeah, exactly. Aubrey, beast, absolute beast. And he was a nobody from college, and he become an absolute stud. That's what we need to fall like. We need to fall lucky and just land on someone like that. That's what we need, man. But yeah,
we do. I'll take the low hanging fruit here, and I'll go left tackle, which is dead easy for this, and it's easy. It's Jordan Mailata all day long. All day long. Easy fix there. Great player as well. So yeah, he would be there. AJ Lamb. AJ Brown. Yeah.
I know people say AJ Brown. I just said that.
I know you did say that, but Lamb is without doubt a top 5 wide receiver in my opinion in this league. Top 5. He's
Oh,
unbelievable.
AJ
His
Brown, no, to be
stats.
fair.
I'd say Brown was more top 10, but I would say,
Really? I
yeah,
mean, to be fair, I do like Lamb, to be fair. I like both of them, but
I think Lamb is
yeah,
ridiculous. He's a
I'll go with
ridiculous player. So we've got one spot left, so it's corner, and we're going Giants. That's tough.
No, we're screwed there, aren't we? Can we change it to kicker? Who's their kicker?
Graham Gano.
Oh, one of our ex guys. Who's actually good now.
I mean, looking at it, you could go. Banks is pretty good. He's not. He's off his rookie season. He's not horrendous.
Bradbury, innit? There's only two guys there, aren't they?
Yeah, Flott. They've got as cornerback. They've got Darnell Holmes. And then, there's nobody else really that's out there. The one I do like is a linebacker, but we don't need a linebacker. Bobby Okereke is a decent player for them. But there's if we're going to go with a corner, is Deontay Banks better than any corner we've got? I would probably say yes.
Is Bradbury still there as well or not?
No, I think
he's gone Bradbury. Okay. He went to Philly, didn't he? But didn't he come back? Or
he's at Philly.
He's still at Eagles. So basically, they've got nobody then, haven't they? Besides Banks, who had he had a decent year,
Banks,
decent rookie year, but that doesn't move the needle for me that much, though.
It doesn't, but that's what we've been left with because we chose the low hanging fruit, didn't we? So.
And the thing is, look, the corners at Dallas, you could go, you could go Trayvon Diggs and these guys.
They're not amazing, are they? Trayvon Diggs, would you say he's amazing? Great season. I mean,
they go with him because there's all his interceptions, isn't it? That's the big thing for him.
Of course,
he is an interception machine. It's
but in coverage, is he actually all that?
No, he gets burnt toast. He's like St. Ghost half the time. The other half, though, he's like bloody prime Sanders. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
That's the thing with him. So, yeah, man, it's interesting question though, because
very good question.
So many ways you could go with it. There's so many ways you could go.
So here's another one then. So it's from Paul Fiander Turner. He is at having a Radox on X. He said best ever camp body that actually ended up decent in Washington. Now, I know you got a bit of a flack about this because I asked the question because I struggle to remember who's on rosters where.
We kill him, man. He named all my guys that I had an idea from.
I know.
Because, so basically, what we were thinking, it wasn't like purely a camp body per se. It was more like an undrafted free agent, undrafted rookie free agent who became good at us. Because let's face it, most undrafted free agents undrafted rookie free agents, you're thinking that they are camp bodies until proven otherwise. So that's the reason why we kind of gone down that route. So obviously there's quite a few that I've got probably 3 or 4 in my head that were really, really good. Some better than others, obviously. But did you have any before we mentioned any or not?
Just Alfred Morris. That was the only one I was thinking
Alfred
of.
Morris, but again, he wasn't an undrafted free agent, no. He was a 6th rounder or 5th rounder.
I think he was actually, yeah.
So he wouldn't really make that kind of criteria. So basically, I've got Joe Jacoby.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Absolute beast. Jeff Bostic, absolute beast.
Unbelievable.
Deluxe has got one of my ones, Lorenzo Alexander. He was the guy that I would admit didn't mention in the chat. Actually, was him. Lorenzo Alexander. So yeah. And he was great special teams player and linebacker for us. Oh,
absolutely.
Played for like 6 years for us, I think, something like that. No, I didn't have Antonio Pierce. I didn't have that one.
Great player. That was a great shout. Niles Paul. Wow, we're all pulling him out the back
no, he's
here, aren't
we? And then what was the other one? So we had Bostic, Jacoby, Alexander, and who's the other one that you mentioned?
Don't know. It's tough. That's really tough. That.
Sellers? I probably got 3. Yeah, I thought I had 4. I'm sure I can't remember the last one.
Mike Great Sellers. Question. Mike Sellers. Yeah, he was good. Very good. Yeah, very good.
Now it's 4.
Give over. Give over. Our next question, Commander Viscount. He is at John Bowden Grace and the winner of our hat, which he received today. Thank you, UK fanatics. It takes you an absolute eternity. How on earth can I get a hoodie quicker to the USA, to Tim Towner, than I can to deliver in my own country a hat? Absolutely ridiculous.
And the
But,
UK is probably the size of DC on its own.
No, we're smaller than Florida. It's ridiculous. But yeah, thank you very much. And I'm glad it went all right. Commander Viscount, I'm glad you got the hat. He said DQ's comments at the presser today lit a fire under the number 2 wide receiver spot, suggesting it was good competition. About 5 guys were competing. What do you think the motive is in saying this, and do you think it will eventually happen? So what do you think DQ's motives are behind this?
Well, his motives are going to be, Jahan, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're not acting the way we expect you to be. Mm-hmm. And now your spot's up for grabs. Get yourself sorted, or we'll look to trade you, or you'll end up not playing at all if you can't trade you. So that's the message. That's the motives. I need you to start sorting yourself out and fast. Otherwise, you're gone, or you're not, or you're just going to be on the bench. So that's the biggest motive for me. Hopefully, we'll just light a fire under his arse and he will actually produce, and get himself actually grade A focused. Something I didn't mention about this as well is that sometimes money can get in the way, man. People change. People change, man. I mean, this guy was very well spoken and seemed like a really down to earth guy when he first drafted him, but then maybe he's got a big head now. Maybe I'm this and that. I feel a bit more entitled. I've got money now. Blah 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 blah. First round pick money is quite decent money for a rookie. Maybe I'm not saying it is, but it potentially can happen. It does happen to people quite a lot, especially when they're not used to that money. You get the big head. You get the big head, and maybe it might just be a case that DQ's just trying to get rid of that ego, get that chip off his shoulder. Do you know what I mean? That type thing.
I hope so. Deluxe has mentioned another undrafted free agent, Anthony Armstrong. I've been on a pod with Anthony Armstrong. Great guy.
Really nice dude, isn't he?
Really nice. You have too, actually. You've been on a pod with him as well. So, yeah, good guy. Really good guy. I can't remember what his podcast is, but if you write in Anthony Armstrong NFL, you will absolutely find him on X, and you'll find him on Twitter, on YouTube.
That's also a good call, Scott G. Paul was a 5th round pick. He was, yeah.
Niles Paul was a 5th rounder. Wow.
Yeah. What's Atlanta doing? Traded for Judon and now signed Justin Simmons. Looks like
they're going
Justin
all Simmons
just today, wow. Just now, this half an hour ago. Yeah, I think that's going to be. They're going all in.
Logan Paulson as well. If you're going to go into broadcasting, wow, yeah. I mean, Logan was a good player, very good player. So yeah, that's another one there. Wow, there you go. Interesting.
Yeah, true.
Another question then.
Was he undrafted? Was he undrafted, Logan Paulson?
I don't know. Was he? I'm not sure. I honestly can't remember. But Arch Deluxe, who's in our chat with us, he said, "What would a move to linebacker for Hampton do for your 53 projections?" Because that's been talked about, that he's been taking reps at linebacker as well. I think that isn't a thing. I think he's just taking reps at linebacker because they want to do a little bit of positional flex. I don't think it's going to be an actual thing for Hampton to be there. But if he does end up as a linebacker, how does that affect my 53? I don't think it does. I don't think he makes it in the linebacker room, in all honesty. And I think he'd be best set sticking to where he is in.
It all depends how well. For me, it all depends how well he's actually doing there. He's a safety, yeah.
He's a safety.
It all depends.
I was thinking of Jean Baptiste, wasn't I? Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah, because basically the premise there is he any good at linebacker? And if he has been showing out and he's looking legit, maybe you might think about, that's what he's saying. What would you do? Would you go and put him part of the linebackers so then you can keep him and he can play safety? And then also, if that is the case, if that is something that they're looking at, well, then how that changes my 53 is basically Jamin Davis is cut. Because he's the guy at the moment who's the linebacker 4 in my book. So, he needs to, if they think Hampton's the real deal and he could do it, well, then the only space is going is Davis. So.
Tyler Owens has showed out from safety.
That's what I mean.
As well, hasn't he?
There's good players. There's been some good players, man, that we've got here that could be nice. But still just weak as pish at corner. That's the problem for me.
I know, mate, I know. Another question from, you're right there, Brian. By the way, everybody should listen to the Command Center podcast with Logan Smoot and Tanner. It's a great show. I listen to it all the time when it drops. It gives me a bit of insight into what's happening in practice. It's funny, but Smoot is a good guy, but my God, he annoys me at times. Fucking hell, shut up sometimes, Fred. Do you know what I mean? But he's a good guy. We've met him as well. He's a top guy. But yeah, ask John Taman next time you see him about Sergeant Slaughter, and I'm sure he'll tell you the story. Funny as hell, but there you go. But I do like Smoot. Deluxe also put another one into us. He said, Kai mentioned that Matavius gives the defense a different type of wide receiver to go against. I think Brian also gives Tremaine a veteran 6'4" receiver to possibly learn from. Do you think the signing is anything more than a camp body with purpose that provides benefits? I mean, you mentioned that Scouse earlier. So again, you and Deluxe are zenned in now. You're all singing from the same song sheet. What are your thoughts on Brian? Is he just a camp body, or is he
I think he's a bit more than just a camp body that you can, I think he will be there for the mentorship for Tremaine. Maybe they like Tremaine that much that this guy could really teach him stuff, because they're both very similar in the size
and skill set as well. They're both
body positions, the nuances of the game. Do you know what I mean? For those guys at that size, it's difficult sometimes when you're the only big receiver out there. Who'd you learn from? But you're learning from yourself, aren't you? Really, and hope that the coaches can kind of master it for you a little bit. Where if you've got another guy who's pretty similar, he's been proven in the league as well. He was pretty good at Pittsburgh. He was pretty good. Then now you've got that mentorship, that the guy who could actually teach you some, like all the little skills, the little intricacies that might be the extra 2% that he needs to make the roster. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, I think it's more mentorship, but I say it starts to show out. There's a spot. There's a spot up for grabs. There really is spot up for grabs in our receiver room. So.
Right, these are quite long-winded, and we're going to have to pull up a sandbag here because it's Jack and Ori tell me a story. Not that I like that. It's just they're going to be quite long-winded answers, which is funny. So, and I really like these questions that come in for us. It's from Tim Towner, who won our hoodie. Shout out to Tim, great guy. He said, the school year has started here in the US, and I recall my youth where at most formative years my parents would send us out with a peanut butter or bologna sandwich and an apple. Of course, when I was a bit older, I was able to purchase my own lunch. I'd usually choose chocolate milk and French fries, so I really can't complain. It makes me wonder what you lads would eat back in the day and what would be considered a treat.
Oh, God.
So this is at school. So what did you eat at school? Were you a packed lunch guy, or were you
Unfortunately, the packed lunch guy, yeah.
Yeah.
We were broke. We couldn't afford extra money to go and pay money at school, mate.
Pay school dinners, yeah.
Yeah. What we classed as a treat.
Tough one, that, isn't it? So is there things that you'd swap at school?
Do you remember the I don't know if the youngsters would know about these biscuits, but the clubs. Or club.
Oh, club biscuit, yeah. Love it. I love a club biscuit.
Yeah, we used to get clubs, and them days they were like thick. Like they really were good. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Nowadays they're absolute just dog shit, but then they were awesome.
So when we say biscuit, for our American cousins, we mean it's like a cookie. So it's basically we call a biscuit a cookie.
Chocolate bar-ish,
it's a chocolate
biscuit
bar
inside. Not
biscuit inside.
Biscuit. Yeah.
Penguin biscuits, Mike. Wow, penguin.
Yeah, penguins. Penguins were class.
Love the penguin with a joke on it. That's great.
25 years ago with these, 30 years ago. Nowadays they're a joke.
For me, Tim, I can't really remember the like formative years of going to school and what I did, whether I had lunches or not. I can't really remember them, to be fair. But I remember high school quite well. I'm not that old, but it's still 24 years ago when I left high school. So we're looking at about 30 years. When I went in to school, I kind of didn't. I went to school with school dinner money, so I used to get £2, £2.50, something like that. My friends would get the similar sort of money, and we'd club together and go to the petrol station and buy 20 fags because we knew we could sell them for 50p each, which is ridiculous. So we'd go out and buy 20 cigarettes.
Already being a businessman at that point, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Entrepreneurship. My mate was 6'4", Luke Smith, at 13 years old. He's actually 7'2" now. He's a massive guy, so he'd go into the petrol station and buy them for us because he looked the part.
He looked the part. And
He
then
looked the
they
part.
didn't need ID, really.
No, not really,
No.
not really. So
If
we
you
would.
looked there, they just let you have it, yeah.
What we would do is we would sell them to people 50p a go, and then you'd end up with more money than you started with, which is great. And then at break time, we tended to use break time for when you'd eat. So instead of going lunch, I'd go in and I'd get a turkey burger from the canteen. They're like little sliders. They were like 70 pence, and then the treat would be like an oat cake. So it was a chocolate biscuit oat cake that were 20p. They were amazing. School cake and custard. Can't forget school cake and custard. I mean that school cake with pink custard, that was for winners as well.
I hate custard.
Can't deal with it. Do you not? You're not a custard guy. Oh no.
Look, that's yes, semolina.
Semolina, yeah. Semolina with jam in it, Mike. I remember them, mate. Them with
keep that away, man. Awful.
And then the second question he said is, please throw in your worst school lunch experience, like spilt milk on your crotch, or the school bully came round and took your food, or did you have a special lunchbox, snack or bag? Was it NFL related, or what was it? So I'll start with me because my nickname at school for the first year of high school was Lunchbox.
Oh no, Lunchbox to high school.
Yeah, I was a dick.
Mistake.
I was 12. I didn't have a clue. I'd come from a military school before, so I had no idea what I was getting myself into a comprehensive education high school, and I brought a lunchbox to school which had, I believe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on.
Oh no.
And I was just 12.
I had lunchbox like that, but I was in primary school, not high school.
Yeah. I'd only just turned 12, so I thought, oh yeah, this is cool. This is great. I'll wear that. So I got the nickname Lunchbox for a year. Best meal I've ever had, either serving in the military or in any cafeteria, canteen, that sort of thing. The best meal I've ever had, without a shadow of a doubt, was in Iraq in 2007, where the Gurkhas invited me for a meal. I turned up on the Friday and said, oh, what have you got in the pot? Oh, and it was a goat curry. So they basically boiled an entire goat, bones and everything, and said, we're not eating it now. Come back on Sunday night. So I went back on Sunday night with my boss, and we had goat curry, and it was the best thing I've ever tasted in my life. I swear to you. Unbelievable meal. But yeah, have you got any stories or bad experiences of school at lunch?
I mean, to be fair, things like the school bully. Yeah,
doesn't
man,
happen here, does it? Yeah.
Oh no! I had that. Yeah.
Were you the school bully?
That was normal, man. No, I wasn't the bully, man. I was.
No. We used to have fights a lot. Absolutely, used to have fights a lot. But
you had to in our place. It's one of them.
Yeah, we were the same.
If you didn't, then you just get walked over more.
Correct.
So it's you might take a beating once if there's always somebody harder and faster and whatever else.
Of course, there is,
yeah. So, but if you stand up to them, you might get a pasting. But at least it's only once, because it's like they kind of respect you for standing up to them, even though they beat you up. You know what I mean? Like, so that's always in Liverpool anyway. It's just how it works. It's just kind of a.
I think it's a British mentality. I think it's a British mentality. That's how it was for me as well. Exactly the same.
You just got to stand up and take it, and then they can't leave you alone. Pick on somebody else who won't fight back, type thing. So, but yeah, man, that was normal. That robbing your money. Stealing your bottle of Coke or whatever you had in your hand, all that stuff. You'd rob your hat if you wore a hat, stuff like that, and you just wouldn't get it back. I'd never wear, like, if I had like a nice coat, I'd never wear it to school.
No, I wouldn't. No
because
chance,
you would steal that as well, or try to steal it, or beat you up for it. Because unfortunately, where I'm from, when I was growing up, I was quite poor. So everyone was kind of like most kids were skint there, so. They would kind of like steal it just to rob your coat to sell it later on. Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So, so that's why you wouldn't go in nice gear, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're waiting at lunchtime and all the girls are getting in the 17-year-old cars. You're like,
you take the beating. I'm on about me. You take the beating, not something else, bro. You know what I mean?
It's so strange, isn't it? You look back now and you think, why were the girls from year 10 and 11 getting in 17-year-old cars outside school? Hello. Yeah, a bit strange. But anyway, no, great questions, Tim. I appreciate it. And school lunch season.
Well, the cool thing was, he had a car, didn't he? He had a car, man. He had a car.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
You've
they
got a
had
car, you got the
exactly.
I mean,
Exactly, a Nova. Or a Renault 5 GT
yeah, a bit
Turbo.
different from the States. You know, they're driving like Mustang V8s and that, yeah. But
No, none of that. Yeah.
It'd be a Lada then, wouldn't it? Something like that. Oh my god, yeah.
Renault 5s. Remember the Max Power magazine and all that stuff? Oh, wow. Yeah.
Even the
We've gone
Corsa,
way off.
you know what I mean?
It was. We've gone way off track here. Way off track. But yeah, man, that's bringing us right back. But yeah, that's it. That's all our questions in. So thank you again for everybody who is in the chat. Thank you for everybody who submitted a question. Deluxe, Mike, Cam McDonald's been with us. We've had the Podfather in the chat. We've had Scott G in the chat. Ian's in the chat. Brian in the chat. Rod Morrison was in for quite a long time and dipped. Fair play. And then everybody who's put a question in.
We even had a Dallas guy. It's the first
we had a
time.
Dallas guy in. That's the first time another fan's been in.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. So yeah, shout out to everybody who submitted a question. Really appreciate you. As I said last week, Scouts, highest ever downloads. So we thank you for downloading the pod on any platform that you're on. Obviously, please visit our website as well, where you can buy your merch if you want to. If you don't want to do that, that's totally absolutely fine. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 100 subs. It's been very difficult.
Begging me, it's a week.
But it's fine. It's all good. But anyway, we'd do it. We'd do it if it was just me and you chatting. But yeah, we thank everyone for being with us, mate. So we really appreciate it. And hopefully we come on next week with a Victory Thursday, which will be a bit strange, but we'll see. But again, I'm not that bothered. It's pre-season, so who really cares? You got anything to go? Anything left?
Cheers Friday podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, we appreciate you.
And then
that's it. That's it from you. All right. Well, that's it from me as well. So we'll see you again next Thursday. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.